Welcome to part 2 of your Magical Moon message. This is a Peace Dealer. The moon is about halfway through the zodiac sign. And yeah, once again, we're not going to enact this angle until the end. The sun is about 28 degrees. So when it's 29 degrees, we're going to have the moon in Cancer 29 degrees. Now, one thing I want to really speak of, this integration angle, we're still in the midst of the Cancer signature, and then at 29 degrees Cancer will enact the Leo signature before the moon goes into Leo. This is going to account for a very righteous, courageous development of how we express our character. And the reason why we have the Leo signature after the Cancer signature is before we can hit our stride and fully express aspects of who we are. I mean, your Leo signature is talent, right? Before you express your talents, what are your talents? They're things you're really good at doing. They're application of your skills and abilities. And the fourth house element is that necessary comfort. And I don't mean a comfort zone, but a foundation and comfort that you rest on so that you can express this creativity. The best I can think of is if you're going to make a really impactful song, and you want to do it in a studio you like, you're going to want to make sure the studio environment is conducive for you to sing your heart out. So making sure that studio is a place you're comfortable in is that fourth house, right? Making sure that the perspective you have shifted and where you're directing it makes you feel comfortable, so that once we step into 0 degrees Aries, we're ready to fully express who we are. We're ready to activate and break through these talents. All right. So that's one thing I want to really touch on. Another thing I want to touch on is, at this point, Pisces season is the conclusion of a 2-year transformation of status quo, especially going through a revelation of, in respective, areas, seeing the notion of a minority group. It's nothing new, but seeing the notion of a minority group pretending they're the majority, manipulating media and what everyone ingests to give you the impression that a certain narrative, that a certain group of people, that a certain belief, that something official is the majority. When you're going to be more, it's not like you didn't already know this, but you're going to be more aware than ever that these opinions masquerading around as facts, these beliefs pretending to be truths, these delusions, these false narratives have always been in the minority. It's a huge disillusionment that's going to make this really clear as we get to sow the seeds of revolution coming through Aries season. And many of you, since, of course, September of 2022 and 2023, have been in a position with presenting receipts. And it just got sunny. The sun just left the clouds. And you kind of going on your I Told You So tour, representative of September, you analyzing the receipts of beliefs activated in March. And then, of course, October, November, and December, you present those receipts in what I call the I Told You So tour, which we have 3 parts every year. All right. You know where you were 2023 of course, November, December, October, November, December. Crazy tour. We were presenting a lot of receipts. And relative to 2022 with Jupiter and Pisces and 2023 with Jupiter and Aries, you have fundamentally transformed the status quo. And since it was you who's done it, it's different to see someone else transform the status quo and how people are talking about what used to be cool or what used to be in the norm and now what is becoming the norm, versus when you are responsible for that, versus the development of your character and actions and how it is you express yourself has made a ripple effect to change, even at a minute level, the status quo. Infinity gang. the status quo of people around you, of the society around you. And relative to the final facet of this last year, you're getting ready to move forward with that. It's still fresh, it's still new. And this is a very bittersweet reality where, especially for my star seeds, especially for those of you who have, and it doesn't have to be related to spirituality, this could be in any field, but for any of you who have pioneered a new and unconventional way, deviating from old traditional norms, conventional norms, or what's currently status quo, it's a bittersweet reality for many people who, when you initially started doing what you were doing, it might have just been novelty. No back, be around as long as you are. And it's not just you becoming a permanent fixture. Certain people seeing you gain the success you're gaining adds to the threat that they feel you are to them, adds to the potency, authenticity, and power with which their fakeness cannot affect. And so you might be on the receiving end of feeling this shift to status quo. Let me give you a classic example. What this will feel like is being an interracial couple, right? Right after they just legalized it. You know what I mean? And it still took years to be recognized. It's still fresh. People are so used to you just marrying your own race. And now you're like the first official interracial couple. I'm not speaking personally. I just think this is a really good example. We can use, let's say you're both the same color, right? Well, let's say, okay, you're possibly the first person ever to completely, I'm just gonna use that marriage. You can use same-sex marriage, interracial marriage, but if we go back in time, especially around the last time Neptune was in Pisces, I don't think that was legal. Neither of them are legal. And I'm just using that because it's controversial enough. You know, there's this feeling of, we don't really accept you still, but you're allowed to do what you do. And that's not based on them. That's based on you. It's this desperate cling to still control the narrative when these people are realizing that their time is up. That ignorant way of thinking is up. There's nothing that can be done to stop that. You're here to stay. You have transformed the status quo. And the reason why I want to use something like interracial marriage is because a concept like that applies to you starting your business. It applies to you taking a new direction in your life. Yeah, you might not be in an interracial marriage, like I'm not necessarily in an interracial marriage, but just like there's that stigma of something novel that a lot of people may not be able to get behind, it represents where you're at right now, getting ready to feel comfortable to push forward this new paradigm and belief, and not let the psychological manipulative tendencies of weak little bitches who tried everything in their power to basically, you know, undermine and gaslight the shit out of you, realize that it never worked. They can't do that. And that they are as insignificant as their attempts to see you as less than you are. Once again, to someone like you who's not stupid or a weak little bitch, it's hard for you to wrap your mind around such bitch-made behavior. Excuse my language. But you're going to see it in full force. You're going to see more the psychology behind that. And this isn't about what other people think about you, but it is a real influence that you are actively transforming and getting ready to lead towards others who are going to look at you relative to what you do. Mind you, once you see me again for the Magic Moon message, it's Aries season. So we're getting ready to activate a new year and a new cycle. This is a new direction you're taking your character, which is going to impact your individuality. And a lot of the politics around, oh, well, we think you're cool or we think you're this, they don't apply to you. Your own actions and receipts have defined that. There are certain objectives people went out of their way to make sure you didn't meet, and you met anyway because you really got it like that. You feel me? So it's preparing you for a phase of war that reclaims the potency of your independence, utility, sovereignty, and individuality. All right? Not made up shit about who you are that makes you feel good. Stuff that's based in truth and reality. Like the fact that my lips are uncomfortably ashy right now. Not for me, but that just might be for you looking at it. You know, I keep it raw. It is what it is. But but other than that, yeah. This is really, really, really going to literally settle the waters before we head into fire. And there's a pride, there's a confidence, there's a boldness, there's a power and strength with which you're getting ready to express yourself, where people may levy and leverage all sorts of high school grade insults, call you names. And I'm saying everyone's your enemy. Not everyone's your enemy. You have support too. But like just in that whole notion where people may try and, you know, call you stuff and you know that doesn't apply to you. You know that that's not who you are, and that's all they can do. They can't do anything else to you but to devolve and try and call you that, and you exist to be above their hate. And I'm talking about in a collective social theme. There's always a frequency of people who may believe and think stuff opposite to you, and that's only just going to build more of your character, as you standing in your strength and perception does more to kind of show how much you've grown and how little power these opposing influences have towards you, and how diminishing in quality their potency is, and how this is very pivotal in you transforming the status quo. On top of that, because Mars is getting ready to leave Aquarius and Venus has already started in Aquarius and Mercury is in Aries that will retrograde in the next few weeks, everything is set in place. All the pieces are set in place. You're getting ready to take action off of dreams and beliefs you literally just activated a week ago. And you want this moon in Cancer to really, once again, help you feel what it is you're comfortable with. Help you really come into a sincere and psychic understanding of what direction you're ready to take these beliefs and integrate them towards. And this psychic understanding is going to help you feel the integration of concepts and mechanics that you may have thought was just a dream or fantasy, but are becoming more real and tangible day by day. The moon in its square to Chiron in the North Node definitely help integrate the direction that you felt you're meant to go in. That's what every moon in Aries on the North Node is. You're feeling where you're meant to go in original raw sense. And now you get to kind of come into more depth of understanding about that. The sextile to Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus enable you to feel into this strengthened quality of natural energy, and how this will definitely direct how much more powerfully you guide that. And as this will enable you to feel more tangibly this extra dimensional energy, that of course sets up the trine with Neptune at the end of this transit, and with Saturn that is anchoring much more concrete and supernatural at will control of these dynamics, which once again will take a lot of sci-fi principles and reveal that you've been living those, and it was never sci-fi or fantasy, or at least we're pushing the boundaries on what we consider that. So just be very mindful of that. Feel your power, feel the power of your transcendence and dream, and really be mindful of how those who have always been insecure are going out sad. They're being exposed. They're seeing all these people play the tricks that used to work for them before, and they're not realizing that only worked because we didn't decide to do anything yet. When a lot of these things worked, we were still developing our abilities, we were still finishing our missions regardless of age. Now that now that it's not working, it's revealing who these people are at the core. And when I say what's working, I mean anything that anybody does to see you as less than you are, to use rhetoric and belief systems to try and wrap around the narrative that you are less than you are. It is bullshit. It is meant for you to depend on them and control you based on a low self-esteem. And only weak, stupid little bitches need to do that, and they're being exposed as that. So there's something to keep in mind. You guys stay blessed as always, and until next time.